Hello, I'm Robin Vincent and welcome to Matttech Modular. Today I'm looking at the British Noise Electronics Grit. Grit is an analogue filter. Quite a fantastic analogue filter. You know, every once in a while you come across a module that's just that little bit special. And I get the feeling that this is one of those. It's not a polite filter. It's not a filter that you would introduce to your mother necessarily. It's the sort of filter that gets angry at different levels. It has like 3 levels of angriness. It's not just a little bit overdriven. It's saturated and limited and gnarly and dirty, kind of disgusting, but in the sort of way that's going to just make you smile. And that's not to say that it can't be quite sweet and nice. Let's start there. It has all the hallmarks of a traditional analogue, quite nice, bouncy, round sort of filter that does the sort of job you're expecting it to. That's lovely, but then you just sort of push the input a little bit. You think, okay, that's quite loud, that's quite nice. But yeah, it's still holding things together. Then I might start bringing in some parallel saturation. And you're thinking, that's quite meaty. Hit the button called Grit, and you think, yeah, alright, that's starting to go now, but I haven't finished. I'm going to push up the resonance. Worried about the neighbours. So it's the sort of filter that could take your head off. It's the sort of filter that can not only take your sound and shape it into something different, it can start pulling it apart. It can start to make it melt and drip around the edges. It starts to kind of catch fire and then fold in on itself and just swell to fill everything and everywhere. Right, so it's a lot of fun. From the outset you can tell it's a lot of fun, and it's called Grit for good reason. Now this is the first module I've come across from British Noise Electronics, and I should perhaps throw in here that the usage of the word British is one of those weird things, but in this context, this is not some kind of sappy political statement. This is about, at least to me, it reflects the idea of old vintage British engineering, when that was a good thing, when that was a good word, when that stood for something like Abbey Road, it stood for things like British EQ, British amplification, it stood for things like Neve and Neve consoles, and that's very much where the look of this seems to come from. It borrows the colour of that knob. It's just shouting at you. The texture on this front panel. There seems to be more space than there needs to be. It's luxurious in the amount of space that it gives you. The lights, the grills, the layouts, everything about it is saying, yeah, this is proper vintage British stuff, and without feeling embarrassed by that idea. This is a good thing. This is a great thing. So probably the best thing that I could do is just stuff things into it and experience what happens. I don't think I have anything that much more intelligent to say than that, but just to take you through what the module actually offers. You have a single input, just the one, with a built-in limiter. They stick that at about 12 o'clock and the light goes off, which shows you that it's no longer limiting. So at about 12 o'clock you're just getting straight in and out. As you push it past that, the little light comes on. Now it's not a glowy tube. I know it looks like a glowy tube. I mean, it really needs a smoke machine in there as well, ideally. But it's not a tube, it's just an LED, which is indicating that the signal is now being squashed. It's now being limited. And you can push that and the light gets slightly lighter. Next in the signal chain, what you get is the grit button. Now the grit button adds another boost of amplification just by hitting it, and this is pre-filter. So you've got your input, limiter, you've then got a whole load more amplification which is built in with that limiter, keeping it slightly under control, not exactly under control, but slightly under control. So the grit button brings that in before you hit the filter. Then you've got the filter itself, an analog filter, followed up by this parallel saturation knob done in this beautiful Neve maroon, and it's got a kind of a notch at the top which would make you think that's like, I don't know, the normal amount it's supposed to have, but it's pretty epic. I mean, if you're just watching the scope here, so I turn that up to 12, you can see it go and then it just starts going off as you push it higher, as everything rises up to meet that. So, but the parallel saturation happens after the filter. So you've got limiting, grit, the filter, parallel saturation, and then, you know, just an output. In between the two, you've got two frequency modulation inputs. They both referring to the cutoff. There's one which just has a regular attenuator and one which has an attenuverter on it. What's it? I don't, you know, one just does that and the other one does that and that. Yeah, does that make sense? Oh, I don't know, but we'll experience that as we go, I'm sure. It is also a high pass filter, but I don't really understand high pass filters. I'm a low pass filter guy. What can I say? But I'll switch that a couple of times just so we can experience it and see where we go. It's beautifully made. It doesn't look like anything else in your rack, because it's not black, it's not silver, it's this strange weirdo kind of console grey, and the knobs are, it's just different. It just has this vibe, and you, every time somebody sees it, when I take a photograph of it, I post it on Instagram, whatever, people go, oh wow, that looks really like Neve like, and they're right, it does. And I think that's deliberate, absolutely deliberate. It has this quality and this vibe to it just by its very existence. So let's run some things through it, see what it sounds like, see what it looks like, give it a bit of a go. So I'm going to try not to overload the recording so you don't get too much unnecessary distortion, but I'm now just running a sawtooth wave from the Honor oscillator directly into here. I've turned the input down so it's not limiting, I've taken out the saturation, turned off grit, and just opened the filter. I'm going to turn up the input until it just starts limiting, and then we're going to do some little sweeps. Bring up the resonance a little bit. that's at about the sort of 2 o'clock. Let's pump that up. It usually starts to self-oscillate at about 3 o'clock. Pump it all the way around. You can just look at those waveforms. It's going to go, oh my god, I'm about to pull myself apart. If I dial back the resonance a little bit and bring in the grit, there's an interesting change when you put the grit in. It's like in boosting the input, the resonance has less effect. So at the moment, if I take the grit out, I've got a lot of self-oscillation going on in there. When I put the grit in, that's lessened. So the effect of the resonance seems to be less. And that's really interesting. It's like it pulls it under control, while at the same time being out of control. That's without it. And with it in. It gives a very different texture. And then the parallel saturation, it just fills everything out. Bring them all in, and you've got one heck of a meaty thing going on. A little bit of high pass there for you. It has this fatness to it that's there, you know, without too much else going on. I mean, that's really nice. I mean, the saturation is fully up and it's got this warmth and togetherness. So it doesn't have to be gnarly and unruly. It can be solid and bouncy. Because it's a mistake to see it as just one thing, as one type of filter, one type of tonal exploration. There's all sorts you can find. Well, there you go. This thing's extraordinary. It can so quickly go from being something, you know, nice, pleasant, thumpy, round, normal, into kind of something else. But just in the best way possible. Like that. And there's a little bit more. There's a little bit more. The input gain staging on the grit is powerful enough to take line level instruments, other instruments, like guitar. Let's just try that out quickly. Anyway, I think you get the idea, right? So that's the British Noise Electronics Grit analog filter. The filthiest, dirtiest, meatiest, meanest filter you are ever going to come across. Well, at least so far, as far as I can say. So I hope that was helpful, and in the meantime, go make some tunes.
you.